Welcome to Gridiron Ring, a sports talk show covering football and professional wrestling. I'm your host, the Encyclopedia of Sports, Gohan Luke 96. Both college football and NFL predictions all in one video this week, all in the same audio recording, so hopefully you enjoy. College football Week 14 predictions, though, first, as Conference Championship Saturday is upon us, though last week 22-14 during Week 13, bringing my overall record to 224 and 114 on the season. Last Thursday night on Thanksgiving in the Egg Bowl, Mississippi State defeated Ole Miss 35-3. Iowa over Nebraska on Black Friday 31-28 on a game-winning field goal. Memphis defeated Houston 52-31. Missouri blanked Arkansas 38-0. Va-Tech over Virginia 34-31 in overtime. What a game. In the Civil War, Oregon over Oregon State 55-15. Central Florida over South Florida 38-10. Mackenzie Milton, though, is injured and done for the season. Oklahoma defeated West Virginia in a shootout in Morgantown 59-56. Teams combined for the most points in a single game so far this season with 1,372 total yards. Washington over Washington State 28-15. Chris Peterson is still now undefeated versus Mike Leach as a head coach head-to-head. Florida over Florida State 41-14. Florida State will not go to a bowl game for the first time since 1976. Georgia over Georgia Tech 45-21. The Bulldogs now have 4 straight games with 200-plus yards rushing. Paul Johnson, the Yellow Jacket head coach, retired after this game, so now they're looking for a brand new head coach. Stay tuned for my college football coaching carousel video that is on the way. I'll let you know who I think should replace him at Georgia Tech and for some other openings around college football. Purdue won the Old Oaken Bucket over Indiana 28-21. Ohio State defeated Michigan in the game by a score of 62-39. Yes, you heard that correctly. The final score was Ohio State 62, Michigan 39. It was 24-19 at halftime, but then in the second half, the Buckeyes just basically ran wild over the Wolverines. The 62 points are the most points Ohio State has ever scored versus Michigan in the game. And the 62 points are also the most points Michigan has ever given up in program history. So, very, very good game for Ohio State. A very, very good win, big win for the Buckeyes, but a very, very bad game, bad loss for the Michigan Wolverines. Baylor over Texas Tech 35-24. Syracuse over Boston College 42-21. Marshall defeated Florida International 28-25. NC State over North Carolina 34-28 in overtime. Mack Brown will be the next head football coach at North Carolina as he returns to the Tar Heel State for the first time since the late 90s before taking the Texas job. Has been retired for the past 5 seasons, but he's coming out of retirement now, going to be taking over for North Carolina. As I said, stay tuned for my college football coaching carousel video. I'll let you know what I think, my thoughts and opinions on all the openings that are left. North Carolina, Western Kentucky, and there's one other one out there that I believe have already been filled. Somewhat been a slow year for the coaching openings in college football, but Mack Brown, as I said, he'll be taking over North Carolina after they fired Larry Fedora after 7 seasons. So App State over Troy 21-10. Stanford over UCLA 49-42. Middle Tennessee State defeated UAB 27-3. Those two teams will play again this weekend in the Conference USA Championship game. Louisiana Lafayette over Louisiana Monroe 31-28. Alabama won the Iron Bowl over Auburn by a score of 52-21. They play Georgia in a national championship game rematch in the SEC title game on Saturday. Penn State over Maryland 38-3. Arizona State defeated Arizona 41-40. Northwestern over Illinois 24-16. Northwestern plays Ohio State in the Big Ten title game this Saturday. Miami defeated Pitt by a score of 24-3. Minnesota won Paul Bunyan's Axe over Wisconsin 37-15. Vandy defeated Tennessee 38-13. Kentucky over Louisville 56-10. Clemson over South Carolina 56-35. Clemson will play Pitt in the ACC title game on Saturday. Texas A&M and LSU went to 7 overtimes. What a game. Final score was 74-72, Texas A&M over LSU. Most points scored in an FBS game ever at 146 points. Then Notre Dame went to Los Angeles, defeated USC 24-17. Clay Helton will return as the Trojan head coach. TCU over Oklahoma State then 31-24. Utah won the Holy War over BYU 35-27. Boise State over Utah State 33-24. And then in overtime in the final regular season game of the 2018 college football season, Hawaii defeated San Diego State 31-30 in overtime. So as I said, conference championship Saturday is upon us. Got some makeup games as well this upcoming Saturday. I'll get to those here in a minute as well. But we got the Pac-12 title, the Big Ten title, the Big 12 title, the Sun Belt, the Conference USA, the American Athletic Conference, the SEC title game, the Mountain West, and the ACC title game on Saturday. So it should be another fun weekend of college football. But it begins on Friday night with Utah and Washington. The MAC title game is also on Friday. Let me look that up here real quick. I don't actually have that in my notes. Don't know why. Normally try to fit in as many college football games and NFL games as I possibly can in my predictions video right here on YouTube. And by the way, be sure to subscribe if you haven't done so already. Be sure to like, follow, and subscribe to Gridiron Ring and myself on social media. All the links are in the description below. And stay tuned for my NFL Week 13 predictions as well. So yeah, on Friday night, Friday, November 30th, 2018, in the MAC title game up in Detroit at Ford Field in the Motor City, Northern Illinois will play Buffalo. I'm going to add that to this prediction video for college football Week 14 Conference Championship Saturday. I'm going to take Buffalo over Northern Illinois. So then on Friday night as well in the Pac-12 title game, Utah will play Washington. These two teams met earlier this year back in September. Washington won by a score of 20-7. I think Utah gets revenge. Utah wins the Pac-12 title. Texas and Oklahoma will meet in Dallas at Jerry World, Arlington, Texas, in a rematch of the Red River rivalry game that took place back on October the 6th. Texas won on a game-winning field goal, 48-45. I think Texas wins again on Saturday, so give me the Longhorns over the Sooners. Louisiana Lafayette and App State in the Sun Belt title game. App State won this game earlier as well, 27-17. I think they win again and get to 10 wins. So give me the Mountaineers of App State over Louisiana Lafayette. Makeup games now. Drake will go to Iowa State. Makeup game for Iowa State. They were supposed to host South Dakota State earlier this season, but Nebraska, they canceled a game against Akron. They are making up their game. Nebraska already did, but there's a big rainstorm out in the Midwest, if you guys can remember back to the beginning of the season, that saw a lot of postponements and cancellations to college football games. So Iowa State's South Dakota State game was one of those. Iowa State is making that up versus Drake on Saturday. Give me the Cyclones. East Carolina, NC State, Virginia Tech makeup game for East Carolina, and a West Virginia makeup game for NC State. Both of those games were canceled due to one of the hurricanes earlier this year, back in the middle of September, if you guys can remember that as well. So East Carolina will go to NC State. Virginia Tech is also making up that game. They will play Marshall. As I said, Akron making up the Nebraska game. Stanford and Cal making up a game from a couple weeks ago due to the California wildfires. South Carolina making up their Marshall game. So, I mean, these teams could have played each other the first weekend, in December here, but they decided to make them up versus other teams. So we'll have to see how, it all plays out on Saturday. But as I said, Drake, Iowa State, give me Iowa State. East Carolina, NC State. Give me the Wolfpack over the Pirates. And then Akron, South Carolina, as I said, Nebraska makeup game for Akron, Marshall makeup game for South Carolina. Give me the Gamecocks over the Zips. Marshall goes to Virginia Tech, South Carolina makeup game for Marshall, East Carolina makeup game for Virginia Tech. Give me the Virginia Tech Hokies over the Marshall Thundering Herd. So the Hokies get to 6 wins, get to bowl eligibility once again, and Virginia Tech will go bowling. So Va-Tech over Marshall. Stanford-Cal makeup game from 2 weeks ago, as I said, due to the California wildfires, was postponed until this Saturday, December 1st. Stanford will go to Berkeley to play Cal. I picked Stanford in that game. I'm going to pick Stanford again, so give me the Stanford Cardinal over the Cal Golden Bears. UAB, Middle Tennessee State, playing for the second consecutive week. This time around, though, for the Conference USA Championship game. From earlier, App State and Louisiana Lafayette playing for the Sun Belt title, not the Conference USA title. UAB, Middle Tennessee State, playing for the CUSA title. So, Middle Tennessee State won this game last week, 27-3, so they're playing for the second consecutive week. Give me Middle Tennessee State to win 2 in a row in as many weeks over UAB. Memphis and Central Florida in a rematch of the American Athletic Conference title game from last year. That Central Florida won by a score of 62-55, and then a rematch from earlier this season as well from back on October the 13th. Central Florida also won that by a score of 31-30. But Memphis, in my opinion, has been the only team that has come close to defeating Central Florida during the Knights' now 24-game winning streak. As I said, Memphis, they lost to Central Florida last year in the American Athletic Conference Championship game by a score of 62-55. And then earlier this year, back on October the 13th, 31-30. So third time's a charm for Memphis. Memphis, I think, will defeat Central Florida on Saturday. Alabama and Georgia in the SEC title game, rematch of the national championship game from last year. Does Bama get in the playoff with a loss? Probably. I don't know. I don't think it's going to come down to that, though. I think Alabama and Tua Tagovailoa will defeat Georgia and Jake from State Farm and Justin Fields. Fresno State and Boise State playing for the Mountain West title, rematch from last year's Mountain West championship game as well, and then from a couple weeks ago. Boise State won both of those games as well, just as Central Florida defeated Memphis in their 2 previous games. Boise over Fresno State 24-17 last year, and then earlier this year, last year it was 17-14, and then just a couple weeks ago it was 24-17. This game is taking place in Boise for the 3rd consecutive game as well. The good thing with Memphis, they hosted Central Florida there this year at home. They're going back to Orlando, as is Fresno State is going back to Boise. Give me Fresno State, though, to defeat Boise State and win the Mountain West. Maybe sneak in to a New Year's Six bowl game. Clemson and Pitt, then, ACC title game. Clemson's going to blow out Pitt, just as Clemson blew out Miami last year in the ACC title game in Charlotte. Then in the Big Ten title game, Northwestern will play Ohio State. Pat Fitzgerald will have his team ready to play in their first ever Big Ten title game. They'll keep it close, but Ohio State will pull away and win the Big Ten title once again under Urban Meyer, and the Buckeyes will make the 2018 college football playoff after both Georgia and Oklahoma, in my opinion, lose. So the Final Four after Sunday for the 2018 college football playoff, the top 4 teams that are going to be playing each other in the 2 semifinal games, the Cotton Bowl and Orange Bowl, on Saturday, December 29th, are Alabama, Clemson, Notre Dame, and Ohio State. The rankings will come out at noon on Sunday on ESPN, so be sure to tune in to that. That's also when the college football bowl games will be announced as well, the matchups there for the 40-plus bowl games for the 2018-19 season. But the big question after Sunday is, should the college football playoff expand? And I think, like I said before, I think it should. I think they should go to 6. You give the top 2 teams a bye. Season doesn't need to expand, though. You can still play what would it be? You play the 2 semifinal games on the 29th of December, as it is this year, the end of December. Still play the 2 semis at the end of December or on January 1, depending on how the calendar is. But you add in the first wild card game, the two wild card games, I should say, the first games of the new format as it would be if they would expand, and just go by NFL rules and language here with this. It'd be the wild card round. You give the top two teams a bye. 3 plays 6, 4 plays 5, just as the NFL does. You have those games on the third Saturday in December, 2 weeks after the conference championship games. You have the conference championship games this Saturday. You got the Heisman ceremony now next weekend, December the 8th, and then on the 15th, that's when the bowl games start. So have the two wildcard games on the 15th, the same day as the bowl games begin, and then take another week off, have the bowl games continue, and then have your semis be on the 29th as they are this year, or on January 1, like I said, depending on how the schedule is. And then you can still play your national championship game on the first Monday in January. So those are my thoughts and opinions on that. Those are my predictions for this upcoming weekend in college football week 14, as it is the last weekend until the bowl games begin. As I said, they'll begin on the 15th. They'll run until the national championship game on January 7th. That's taking place out in Santa Clara, California. Heisman ceremony is next Saturday, the 8th. The NFL season is also winding down. Stay tuned for my NFL Week 13 predictions. Those are coming up here very shortly. Got the last month of the NFL season, then the playoffs will begin. So the time's winding down for football. Very, very sad, but it's been a great season so far. Thank you to everybody who has watched or listened to my prediction and recap videos this season in college football. I'll have my Heisman predictions out next week, who I think is going to win that. Looking like Tua Tagovailoa will be pulling away and holding that trophy very, very high. But we'll have to see what happens this Saturday. As I said, conference championship games on Saturday. And let me know what you guys think about all my predictions, what I think about the college football playoff, my Final Four predictions, and the playoff expanding potentially into the future. So let me know what you guys think about all those in the comments below. And like I said, stay tuned for my NFL Week 13 predictions. Alright, now it's time for my NFL Week 13 predictions. So hopefully you enjoyed my college football Week 14 predictions for Conference Championship Saturday. Last week, though, in the NFL Week 12, I went 8-4, bringing my overall record to 83, 64-2 on the season. Last Thursday, on Thanksgiving, we had 3 games. The first game, the Chicago Bears went north to Detroit, defeated the Lions 23-16. The Dallas Cowboys defeated the Washington Redskins at home 31-23. The Cowboys are now in first place in the NFC East. And then on last Thursday night on Thanksgiving, the New Orleans Saints defeated the Atlanta Falcons at home by a score of 31-17. Then on Sunday and Monday this past weekend in the NFL, the first game on Sunday, the Philadelphia Eagles and New York Football Giants. The Giants were leading at halftime, leading halfway through the third quarter, but they got away from the run, especially Saquon Barkley in the second half, and the Eagles came back and defeated the Giants 25-22. The Eagles host the Washington Redskins on Monday Night Football this week. The New England Patriots defeated the New York Jets by a score of 27-13. The Baltimore Ravens over the Oakland Raiders 34-17. Cleveland, they won on the road for the first time since 2015 over the Cincinnati Bengals by a score of 35-20. The Bengals have now lost 5 of their last 6 games. But the big story here, like I said, the Browns winning their first road game since October of 2015, snapping a 25-game road losing streak. Andy Dalton now done for the season. I'll get more into that here in a minute, as the Bengals will host the Broncos on Sunday. The Seattle Seahawks went to Carolina, defeated the Panthers 30-27. The Colts over the Dolphins 27-24 in a game-winning Adam Vinatieri field goal. Denver defeated Pittsburgh 24-17. Minnesota over Green Bay on Sunday Night Football 24-17 as well. Starting to look more and more like Mike McCarthy's time in Green Bay is coming to an end. And then on Monday Night Football, if you join me on Periscope for this, thank you. The Houston Texans defeated the Tennessee Titans 34-17. The Texans became the first team in NFL history to have won 8 straight games after starting the season 0-3. So Week 13 begins on Thursday, November the 29th, 2018. The Saints will go to the Big D to play the Dallas Cowboys. It's supposed to be Dez Bryant's return after he signed with New Orleans. Dez Bryant, longtime Dallas Cowboy wide receiver, was released after last season, was a free agent up until the time the Saints signed him about a month ago now, but he got injured in his first practice with New Orleans, tore his Achilles, so he's done for the year. The Saints, they're red hot. They've won 10 in a row. The Cowboys, red hot as well. They've won 3 in a row. Philly, Atlanta, and Washington, their last 3 games. But now they host the Saints, as I said, on Thursday Night Football. The last time the Saints had this long of a winning streak, back in 2009, whenever they won Super Bowl 44 over the Colts. The team that broke the Saints streak was the Dallas Cowboys. But that was last time. This is now. The Saints will defeat the Cowboys on Thursday Night Football. Hopefully going to be a very, very good game. The Bears will go to the Giants on Sunday. The Giants, they were looking good last week up until they got away from the run, like I said there earlier, more so with Saquon Barkley. Chase Daniel, he'll start for the Bears for the second consecutive week over Mitch Trubisky. Trubisky's still out with his shoulder injury. Hopefully he can get back in time for the playoffs. Bears, I think, will defeat the Giants on Sunday, though, so give me Chicago over New York. Cleveland will go to Houston. The Browns, they are in the playoff hunt at the moment at 4-6-1, the same record as the Green Bay Packers. Who would have thought that? And they're going to Houston, like I said, to play the Texans, who are also red hot. As I said, won 8 straight, first team in NFL history to do that after starting 0-3. This game, it's either going to be very, very high scoring with 2 high-powered offense led by Baker Mayfield with Cleveland or Deshaun Watson with Houston, or it's going to be a low-scoring game with 2 great defenses, but the Texans win. They played well on Monday Night Football this past week against Tennessee. Baltimore goes to Atlanta. Toss-up for me here. Lamar Jackson, he's been playing well, though, for Baltimore in Joe Flacco's absence. So Baltimore, I think, will defeat the Atlanta Falcons. Denver, they're going to go to Cincinnati. As I said, Andy Dalton is now out for the season, placed on IR after he got injured on Sunday against the Browns in that loss. Jeff Driscoll came in relief for Dalton, played well on Sunday. They also signed Tom Savage after this game, leading into the Denver game on Sunday. The Broncos are starting to play some good football. As of late, they defeated the Chargers there on a game-winning field goal 2 weeks ago, and then defeated the Steelers at home as well this past Sunday. Season is more than likely over, though, I think, for Cincinnati with Dalton being injured. A.J. Green hasn't played in a couple weeks. He'll be back on Sunday, though. We'll have to see if he is going to be a factor in this game between Denver and Cincinnati. But the Broncos defeat the Bengals, I think, on Sunday. The Rams will go to Detroit to play the Lions. Rams just too powerful, coming off a bye as well, so they're going to be very rested up, very healthy after defeating the Chiefs a couple weeks ago on Monday Night Football, the highest scoring Monday Night Football game in history. I think it'll be close on Sunday between the Rams and Lions, but the Rams will win. Cardinals will go to Green Bay to play the Packers. Packers, they've played good at home compared to on the road. They are winless on the road this year, and that's why they are where they are at the moment at 4-6-1. In third place in the NFC North, behind Chicago and Minnesota, who they lost to on Sunday Night Football. Plus, the Cardinals, they're god-awful. Give me Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. Carolina will go to Tampa Bay. Buccaneers are playing so bad this year, they're giving away tickets for free for this game and for the remainder of the season. The Panthers, I think they'll snap out of their 3-game skid. Kansas City will go to Oakland. Oakland will keep it close, but Kansas City and Patrick Mahomes will pull away late, and the Chiefs will defeat the Raiders. Richard Sherman returning to Seattle with the 49ers this time around as San Francisco goes to Seattle on Sunday. Sherman not going, in my opinion, not going to be getting the welcome home party that he was hoping for. I think the Seattle Seahawks will blow out the San Francisco 49ers on Sunday. The Vikings will go to New England to play the Patriots. They got a tough stretch coming up as they are now in second place in the NFC North behind the Chicago Bears. As I said, Green Bay's in third, Detroit in fourth. The Vikings, they defeated the Packers on Sunday Night Football this past week. And as I said, go to New England on Sunday before going to Seattle next week. New England, I think they'll win this game because I cannot pick against Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. I think it'll be a close, exciting game on Sunday, though, at 4:25 on Fox. Sunday Night Football and Monday Night Football this week come to the Keystone State. The Steelers will host the Chargers, and the Eagles will host the Redskins. The Chargers-Steelers game is where I'll start, though. In my opinion, game of the week actually got flexed into Sunday Night Football a couple weeks ago. It was supposed to be a 1 o'clock kick on CBS this Sunday, December the 2nd, as the NFL moves into the last month of the regular season. You got Phillip Rivers versus Big Ben Roethlisberger, two quarterbacks from the quarterback class of 2004 from the NFL draft. Eli Manning also in that quarterback class. Going to come down to the wire, though, I think, just as the last meeting did between these two teams back in October of 2015, also in prime time on Monday Night Football. Pittsburgh scored a touchdown as time expired, if you can remember back that far. But I cannot pick against the Pittsburgh Steelers at home, especially at night. So give me Pittsburgh over the Los Angeles Chargers on Sunday Night Football. And then on Monday Night Football, the Redskins, as I said, go to Philly to play the Eagles. Both teams, they lost to the Cowboys there within the past couple weeks. Eagles 2 Sundays ago on Sunday night. Redskins last Thursday on Thanksgiving. And the Eagles, in my opinion, they got to win this game to stay alive in the NFC East. And I think they will, so give me the Eagles over the Redskins. Thanks for watching my college football Week 14 and NFL Week 13 predictions. Be sure to hit that subscribe button right here on YouTube. Also, be sure to like, follow, and subscribe if you have not done so already. All the links are in the description below.